Hey, this is jonleonguerrero. Our guest today is sound engineer, producer, mixer, Wes Maebe. Our longtime listeners know that he's a dear friend and frequent guest on our album fights, and whenever we can sit still with him long enough to get an episode out. It doesn't happen as often as we'd like because he's all over the world working in the best rooms. He's an in-house engineer at RAK Studios in London, and he's piloted the console at places like SARM West, The Engine Room, British Grove, Fantasy, and Laughing Tiger. And as a live sound engineer, he's toured through world-class venues too numerous to name. The artists he's worked with include Sting, Chaka Khan, Celine Dione, Robert Plant, UB40, Elliot Randall, and Carly Simon. He works with the best because he's the best. He's also a regular contributor at Mix Magazine and a frequent presenter at AES and at NAMM, where we caught up with him to record this episode. So we want to thank NAMM, the National Association of Music Merchants, and the Technical Excellence and Creativity Awards for bringing us all together every year and for putting us together with the Wesonator again. So if you're in the business, make sure you join NAMM. Make sure you go to the Tech Awards. It's truly where the music creator community gets together. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you get to take a break from the events and sit by the pool with your pals like we did with Wes. And about the Break It Down show, please tell your friends about it. Pass the link around, reach back to us, John or Pete at breakitdownshow.com to get either one of us, and we definitely want to hear from you. Also, support Save the Brave at savethebrave.org. You guys know the drill. Hey, grab a beverage, lean back, and enjoy our episode today with Pete, myself, our segment correspondent at NAMM, Lynn Mayhew, who pipes in once or twice, and our man, the Wesonator, Wes Maebe.
Lionsrockproductions.
This is Jay
This
Moore.
is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hi, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is jonleonguerrero.
Hey, and this is Peteaturner.
Hey, this is Wesonator maybe, and you're listening to the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with jonleonguerrero and Peteaturner.
You know what I like about that intro? Boy, that sounded relaxed. You know what I mean? That sounded like all bets are off, all guards are down. We've got the Wesonator on the Break It Down show.
I'm surrounded by bamboo and palm trees and you guys. So.
That's right.
Of course I'm relaxed.
That is a relaxed atmosphere waiting to happen. The Wesonator joins us at NAMM 2020 this time around. Actually, NAMM, we have to thank for introducing us to the Wesonator to begin with a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So it's become a tradition. Hopefully it becomes a tradition with some drinks before too long here.
Hey, this is Peteaturner from the Break It Down show, checking in real quick to ask you this. John, Scott, and I all support Save the Brave with our time, our location, our effort, and our money. Each month we give a small amount. Do the same with us. Go to savethebrave.org, click on the Donate tab, pick an amount that you want to come out each month, and they will handle all the rest. I stand behind these folks. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the show.
So it's become a tradition. Hopefully it becomes a tradition with some drinks before too long here. We're waiting for some drinks to come by. But man, how you been? What you been working on?
It's been good. It's been busy. Working on a lot of stuff. I've been editing and mixing the stuff that I recorded last year in Laughing Tiger, where you came to see me.
All right.
Yeah. So that's on the go.
Yeah. It was like, you have like Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. A thing that we do here. I don't know if you guys do it over there, but it's like bring your son, bring your daughter to work day, and then you bring your kid, and you get to show your kid what you do for a living and all that stuff. And Wes had Bring Your Guamanian to Work day. And so I showed up at Laughing Tiger Studios, which we absolutely want to plug because it's Ari Rios, and he's great.
Absolutely.
Laughing Tiger Studios is in
San Rafael.
It's in San Rafael. That's Marin County. Beautiful studio with a gorgeous piano room, a lovely live room. And some historic recordings have been made not only there, but on the gear that Ari owns there.
Absolutely.
In fact, not recorded there, but he also owns one of the things that we were oohing and awing about.
Oh, is it the tape machine?
Yeah. He owns I think that was a 16-track Studer machine.
Yes.
That recorded, a lot of records. I Will Always Love You. A lot of Whitney Houston records were recorded on that machine. In fact, the first Whitney Houston records were recorded on that machine by Preston and Narda.
Yeah.
but Ari's got it now.
Yeah.
So I got to see Wes at work. And guess what? He knows what he's doing. I was skeptical at first,
Yes.
but that was fun.
And
It was insane.
grabbed the Zoom today and started
Yeah.
tuning it
This is
in.
going to be the best show,
Yeah.
best sounding show
I
that
hope
we've ever
so.
recorded.
Yes.
Don't jinx it, man.
We should probably shout out Tanya Chen too. She's the
Yeah,
artist.
yeah. She
who
was the
recorded.
artist, and she's since relocated to New York.
Okay.
So she's based over there. She's doing a lot of shows, but I think early February she's back in the Bay Area to do a couple of shows,
Huh.
and then she's going to be in London again. So
That piece that you recorded of hers was a solo piano piece that I think you guys put other stuff on top of it later.
no,
Oh, okay.
no, it stayed the way you heard it.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was pages and pages of this piece.
36.
36. It was a 36-page piano piece.
And I come off a 10-hour flight.
Oh, man.
Yeah, how does that go though? I mean, like that's you not feel like you're working when you're working because you love it so much, or
No, it's just fun, you know.
Right.
I like doing all that, you know. And even when I go on holiday, somehow I always find myself doing something. So, yeah, I just love
Wes
it
is
so
the
much.
guy who goes over to the pool to relax and then sees something happening, like, oh, they're going to set up a band by the pool. Hang on, guys. You guys need a front of the house mix. I'll take care of it. Walks over there in his shorts. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. You sit by the monitor.
Well, last time I was near a pool, I was recording in a lovely studio in Italy, in Tuscany.
Wow.
The Garage Studio, which is absolutely amazing. And I just thought, there's a pool, I've got a cymbal, I've got a mic, I have to do it. So I strung up the cymbal,
Yeah.
and I made a big mallet out of a mic stand with lots of gaffer tape, and then we just whacked it, so it
Yeah.
started spinning, and then submerged it in water. And then
Terrific.
recorded that going down, and then reversed it, which was awesome.
So you reversed the recording and
Yeah.
that's what you used?
Yeah.
Terrific. Wow. Where'd you use it? Where can we hear it? What is it?
I think it's out. I'll have to send you a link, because it's just it's an unknown Italian band, just college kids, and they happen to be there. So yeah,
That's going to be like the reverse 808 kick
Yeah.
from Paul Revere. And they're going to become a enormously famous international act because
well,
of
let's
that
hope so.
cymbal crash going into the water.
by the way, congratulations to the 808 on its induction to the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Yeah, wow.
A forgotten, failed product.
Terrible financial failure of a product, yeah,
Exactly.
that ends up being a Hall of Famer and probably the most important drum machine. I mean, if you think about it, that machine shaped hip hop and the things influenced by hip hop.
Yeah.
So I guess you got to give a nod to Roger Lynn and the Lynn drum and the drumulator and stuff for
All those guys, yeah.
breaking ground. But the 808 was the standard.
Yeah.
It's like somebody invented the car and then Henry Ford came out with the Model T.
Yeah.
Changed everything.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
congratulations to Roland and the TR-808. Anyway, you are here for a reason though.
Am I?
Yeah, you did a producer symposium.
Yesterday we did a production panel with Daniel Keller, sharing it and asking the questions, and we had some cool people on the panel. You know, I was just there. No, CJ Vanston was on there, Eric Sobler, David Bottrell, and Ross Hogarth. So, and we just talked about kind of how to relax artists in the studio and how to get the best performance out of them, and where do you draw the line between being a friend and sort of the king of the studio. You know, it's like, you know, I'm in charge, but you know, you also have that fine line where you're kind of brothers and sisters and you're hanging out and having
Right.
fun. So
Yeah.
we talked about that for about an hour.
And that process of getting the best performance from an artist by relaxing him or her.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It's
You help the
artists-
artist rub one out, I guess, one way.
I'm sure it's been done.
Sometimes it's been recorded. You really did talk about artist influence by the producer, I'm sure. What were some of the things that came up?
Well, I mean, you know, there was a lot of stuff about what do you look for in a song and what do you look for in an artist before you start working with them. So I think we kind of all agreed that we look at the Ross said he looks at the DNA of the song. Somebody else said they look at the bones of the song. Kind of came out that none of us were really interested in hearing finished demos, like they were almost master takes. We were interested in hearing the raw thing. And I always say, I want to hear a song almost like, can you play it on a guitar and sing it, and does it still work?
Yeah.
It doesn't need 7 keyboards, it doesn't need strings, it doesn't need anything. It's still a great song. Great. Now we can build on that.
Right.
Because you can disguise a lot of shit with a lot of stuff. But if the thing stands by itself,
just ask Miss Spain.
Then it's great. Just ask Miss Spain, exactly.
Yeah.
So how does that work in the other direction when you hear something that's got 17 keyboards and 3 different sounds from a cowbell? Like, how do you? That's just too much. Like, you come in and it's time to deconstruct.
Yeah, definitely. 9 out of 10. If that's what you're getting, that means it's been multi-tracked. So you could ask for the session, and you could just strip everything back and find what the key elements are, and
get the steps
build it,
and mute
build
everything.
it back. Yeah. Build it back from there. And a lot of the time when you start mixing, that's where you start. If it's like a nice singer-songwriter project, you start with the voice and a guitar or a piano.
Is that where you start a mix?
Sometimes, yeah. It depends on the style, but if it's really vocal-centric, that's probably where I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's something heavy, like working with the 10-gauge guys again, there's some new material coming out.
Oh, yeah.
I'll start that from the drums and the bass.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is why you should have a producer, and why engineers become crucially important to the sound of a record, because, as an artist, everybody has their focus, and sometimes that producer will say, you focus on that. I'll focus on this mix in a way that's different from you. And
yeah, I mean, I've always seen the role as a from a producer point of view, more of sort of, being the general in charge of everything. He or she has to, keep everything in check, because I think 80% of a recording session is psychology, because you're dealing with so many egos and insecurities and all that stuff. And also dealing with song structure and arrangement and stuff like that. I mean, over the years, lines got blurred and engineers became producers, and, you sort of...
And producers became arrangers.
Yeah, and you're wearing 2 hats because you're sort of mixing at the same time, but you're listening out for other things. And it's, it's why I always say I just prefer working with somebody behind me on the couch, I like to be on the board, and I like to have somebody sitting behind me or next to me yelling and going, no, that wasn't good, do it again.
Yep.
Can you make
like
this?
Dr. Dre.
Yeah, can you make this more blue?
Have you heard this story about Dr. Dre?
No.
He was with Exhibit, and Dr. Dre's producing his stuff, and he kept saying, yeah, do it again, do it again, do it again. And he's like, motherfucker, he's thinking this, right, to himself. Exhibit is, like, I've done it every way I know how to do it. Like, let me try. I really, 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 really believe it this time. But if you say anything back to Dr. Dre, back, I'll be back. But he ain't coming back. Because you do what you're told. It's like, do it again. It's not what I want. Do it again. Do it again.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
You have to listen to your lip.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the magic of coming up with the right take sometimes, requires that. And at his level of perfection, he knows when he doesn't hear it.
Yeah, but
he's not afraid to be that taskmaster.
You can beat something to death like that as well. I mean, we talked about that yesterday as well.
But Exhibit looks pretty tough.
Yeah. I mean, he looks tough, but it's the brain.
Yeah.
Once the brain gets involved, you start thinking, forget it, it's not happening.
Oh.
It's like yesterday. Daniel asked, with all the technology, you can do infinite takes and stuff, and where do you stop? And I just piped in. I said, after take 3, because that's when you lose it. A couple of takes, and then after that, everybody starts thinking about what they're doing, and it becomes sterile. It doesn't come from the heart.
This, I think, highlights the importance of that relaxed environment, because if you're only giving an artist 3 takes before they get in their own head, you really have to put them in a place where they're going to deliver on take 1. This is not a rehearsal. We're going to go for it from the very beginning.
Yeah, and I guess that's why it's important to have, when I do a session, I'm at the studio at least 3 to 4 hours before anybody else shows up. and I'm just there setting things up, but also I'm getting into the vibe. I like to be there before anybody else, and my favorite time is when there's nobody in the studio, because I'm the sad fuck who turned up at 7 a.m. But I like to have my coffee, maybe a smoke on the doorstep outside, watching the world go by, and then start putting mics up and stuff, and maybe find some plants, some lava lamps, some nice uplighting and stuff like that. And people walk in, it's like, oh, cool. Oh, all right. So we're ready to go. Oh,
Ready to
cool.
go from the
There's no
beginning.
rush. There's no, I got to mic this up. We're all just getting along. Everybody needs to have a tea or a coffee or something stronger, and, stand outside, have a chat about the music, about the song. It's not like you walk through the door and boom, we got to record. No, because you got to settle into that space, because it's important, and you're spending a lot of money on it.
He's not kidding. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. I've had that smoke on the doorstep. I don't even smoke anymore.
Yeah, well, you did then.
I did, because Wes was doing it, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to
Busted.
immerse myself
Got to
in
get
this
the experience. Yeah.
I'm going to go have a smoke on the doorstep.
So if you look at an engineer from the outside, it looks like you just are flying the airplane, you're twisting knobs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you and I, we know it's way more than that. And then the other end is, like, if you can get so detailed, like in the podcast, there's things where, like, I can spend 10 minutes fixing this little error, and I'm so focused on production, like, never mind.
Yeah.
But you're not. Like, people spend a lot of money to get things perfect. So when do you get, like, can you get too detailed when you're just, like, every microsecond you're going through things?
Yeah, I mean, I've done sessions where everything has to be, on the grid.
Yeah.
The drum take is done. It gets sent off to some guy in a little room, and it just gets quantized exactly to the grid before anything else goes on top of it. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
Right.
And it's tight and stuff, but to me that loses a bit of the soul, because some drummers are a little bit behind the click, some drummers are a bit in front of the click.
And the good ones are both.
So some drummers are all over the shop, but
Yeah.
but it's like you just listen to AC/DC. How late is that?
Yeah.
He's so behind.
Yeah.
But that creates that.
But he's
sexy groove.
behind with the snare drum.
And,
His
yeah,
backbeat
it-
is behind. But he's
exactly.
driving the groove with his foot.
Is on. Yeah.
He's
And that
creating
snare
tension
is
all
like,
by himself.
and
And the
that-
moment you quantize that, it's gone.
That's gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, I think you can go over the top for sure.
Can you get a knob and just go whoop, unquantize the quantized thing so that it's still mathematically all right, but now it's, mechanically the snare is back, but the bass is in the right spot? Can you do that with the computer? Like, give me the Rick Marotta.
Up to a point, because
No, you cannot recreate
No.
Rick Marotta with a computer. The only thing you can do is, once it's been quantized, maybe you get lucky and you go back a generation and you go, nope, undo that. But usually,
yeah, you could do that, but once you start moving individual elements of a drum kit, it
Yeah,
goes
you
out of
fucked it up.
phase, it goes everywhere. So
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because you've got all those mics on one instrument,
Right.
And they're all hearing a little bit of each other. So if I drag that snare back, you're going to
Yeah.
end up with flams, because
Right.
the overheads still have it where it was.
Yeah.
So,
Tommy McElroy ended up with flams and it worked out okay.
yeah.
he did that on purpose.
They were intentional. Yeah.
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 So that whole thing. So if someone's creating something without actually miking up a drum set, and there's not a drum set in the room, and they're just in their kitchen doing drums.
yeah.
Talk about the difference between that and then what you can create with that soul that's in there, with an actual drum kit that you've mic'd and you've pulled out the special, the Black Betsy 5000 that's going to really get it right.
Well, yeah. I mean, the programming. I mean, there are guys who can program, and it sounds like a real bloody drummer, which is amazing.
I'm a pretty good programmer.
But there you go. So, but to me, there's still something about having guys in the room together. The bass
There's
player.
reaction.
Yeah, the bass player is reacting to your bass drum. The guitarist is vibing to whatever the hi-hat pattern that's going on, and there is an interaction that you just cannot get with programming.
Yeah.
You
It's
know.
like the old saying is that good acting is reacting. So if you have a solo piece and somebody's doing a one-person show, okay, great. Some people can do a great job at that. But
Sure.
really, when we think of the magic scenes that have changed our lives, we think about scenes that involve people reacting to each other.
And a lot of
And-
improvisation.
And musically, it's the
Yeah,
same.
it is the same. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
even if it's just I'm going to lean into the bridge a little more because you're leaning into the bridge. That's a feel that can't be tracked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing with programming is that you are working to a grid, so you're always locked to that thing, and I guess that sets the geniuses apart from the bedroom guys, is that they know how to play that grid, and they probably will be slightly off and stuff, and make a bit more of a dynamic thing.
Yeah.
But
some of our listeners are jumping up and down right now, screaming Jay Dilla, because what he always did was he'd always turn off the quantize on his drum machine,
right,
and he'd do things with his fingers, and so you'd have a bar of music that would loop, but the snare drum would be behind.
It'd be drifting,
the hi-hat would be uneven. And it changed drumming because a whole generation of drummers, specifically Questlove, gets a hold of that, and he goes, I want to play that pattern, and I want to play it perfectly.
Yeah.
And the way that I figured out how to play it perfectly was to be perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely.
that becomes a thing. The other trick, though, is when you have, using a drum machine, it's got the sounds embedded, but if you use an MPC 60, then you can sample your snare drum with a moment's delay.
Yeah.
So, little tricks.
Yeah, definitely.
I watched a video earlier this morning just because it reminds me of like the creative process. Yeah, it was, and I'm going to talk about you too now. Here we go. But during the No Line on the Horizon recording sessions, Brian Eno comes in early, and he puts down a beat, and it's for the song that becomes Moment.
That's Brian Eno doing what he learned from Wes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Moment of Surrender. And the beat goes like this. And he's like, I was trying to fix it. Because it was all fucked up. It's got like this hiss in it and everything.
Yeah.
Then Larry came in and sat down and went, sick, playing with it. And he's like, okay. And then, Bono comes in singing because that's his job.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I know what
If anybody's going to lean into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They one take that. Like the actual song.
Yeah.
And Bono said this was the first, like we always come in to find the music. Like this time the music found us.
Yeah.
And then Brian Eno, all the recording he'd ever done, said that was the most magical moment he'd ever had in the studio recording
accident.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have that if you're working on a grid by yourself in the kitchen. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, Larry doesn't sit down. That's not a song. They fixed that beat track and that song never happens.
Yeah.
It's so I always think about that, especially like when we come here, because there's so many NAMM, for those who does not know, there's about 125,000 people here. I mean, there's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
I mean, between the crew and all the support, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And most of them are all playing fucking hi-hats and snares at the same time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are hallways of this convention that are just unbearable.
I mean, I think this year the guitar hall is worse than the drum hall.
It's a lot.
I mean,
I think so,
the drum
too.
hall is kind of, whoa, okay. And then you walk into the guitar bit and it's like, whoa, shit.
There's a lot going
Let's
on.
get out of here.
Well, when we were walking out, we were kind of in like the shitty sweet spot.
Yeah.
So
You know what it is that makes it the case, though, because I agree with you. The guitar hall is, but you know what's in the guitar hall that makes it that way? Guitarists.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, and at the same time, over there in the Remo thing, they've got this line of snares, and there's three dudes going on purpose, not playing well, just
all
like
different
playing
things.
fast.
That
Yeah.
line of snares, too, is like 25 deep.
Yes.
And then above
Yeah,
that
and they
line
were-
of snares
and they were
is a
all
line of
tuned
toms.
so high.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, they're cranked up.
Whew. Okay, fine.
You know what's funny is if you look at that line of snares really carefully, down below,
The
there's
kicks.
there are
Yeah,
kicks.
the
there are
kicks.
kick pedals, but
Yeah.
nobody's paying attention to those.
Yeah.
They just come up and start hammering on the snare drum. Yeah, it's fun. I liked what I saw in the drum hallway, especially by Remo, because they had like a big clear drum set with their color sound heads
Yeah.
and all the
yeah.
different colors, and that's just a really cool
Oh, is it
look.
the Ludwig one?
Yeah,
Was it a
I think it
Ludwig
was
one?
a set of
Yeah,
Visa
yeah,
lights. Yeah,
Very nice.
but those color sound heads made it look really spectacular and rainbowy. Also, in that neck of the woods, because it's the wide main hallway,
Yeah.
is where you see a lot of people It's where you see a lot of people.
It's where you see 5 Dimebag Darrells at the same time.
That's true. That's true. But they run into each other and they acknowledge each other. There's a lot of socializing happening in that area. So that's good. But yeah, did you see the performance last night?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, it was terrific. But we were going to. It was Earth, Wind, and Fire was there, and Kenny Loggins was there.
Very
and the
nice.
whole thing was MD'd by Nathan East. He
Oh,
always does a great
Nathan.
job.
What a
And Greg
star.
Fillinganes.
Oh, nice.
Larry Dunn was there. It was terrific. That kind of a performance, I wanted to shift gears because been a live guy too. I mean, everybody knows that you're recording engineer, but your experience in the live environment has also been substantial. Let's see, who did you work with? Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you like about the live environment? And are you thinking about those gigs? And
Well, I think the coolest thing about the life environment is that it's immediate. You know, it's that adrenaline rush where you have to get it right, and
you got to get it right now.
you can't just go, "Oh, excuse me, I fucked that up. Can I do that again?"
Yeah.
No way. With that comes that if there is a fuck up, it's gone. You know, it's past,
It's
and,
past.
and you
Move
can't
on.
let it go. I mean, you can beat yourself up about it, but
You got to do it later.
you know, yeah, and but it does. I think its value towards recording is that it allows you to work fast. You know, you plug things up and you get it set up and ready to go in no time. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to do a lot more live sound again, but Sting spoiled me. So
I bet.
he made the tour so nice that anything below that is a drag.
But that's a good thing, though. I mean,
Yeah,
he
I
knows how to go
guess.
on the road, and it doesn't have to be horrible.
He's sure been on the road.
And then the guy that's willing to do the horrible road show, let that guy go do it. You know, like you've got,
Yeah, he's got to cut his teeth.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you deserve better gigs, and those gigs are out there.
No, they're out
Sting's
there.
working right now here in LA. He's not on the road, but your next thing he'll probably do is go on a tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's doing that stage show now that he wrote. But speaking of Sting, I know wasn't the tour that you were on, but I met Omar Hakim yesterday, and that made my whole.
Oh dear,
Yeah.
here we go.
That made my whole, not only my whole NAMM show, but my whole, month. I've been, following his career for a long, long time. When you worked with Sting, though, here's the way that I'll compare it, because Omar Hakim was on the Dream of the Blue Turtles
Right.
album and tour, and that was spectacular. But it was Sting's emergence as a solo artist.
Right.
And by the time you worked with him, he was already 4 albums deep.
Sure.
Yeah.
If not
At
more.
least, if not more.
If not more.
So by then, his live environment had just grown in complexity
yeah.
because
Yeah,
there were
yeah.
more instruments to record. I mean, he played guitar on that tour, the Dream of the Blue Turtles tour. With you, he played a lute.
What was the
He
lute?
I
Yeah,
mean, and there was a lot going on, and it was who was on the drums? Manu
no,
Katché?
no drums.
Oh, there was no drums.
No. I had 2 lutes and a full choir.
You had to. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had to engineer a full choir.
Yes. And I was triggering some stuff from Pro Tools in between the songs, because every song was linked with Sting talking about the history of each song, because it was all Baroque music. So he did a proper talk about all the composers and all the music and stuff. So yeah, which had sort of background atmosphere noise. And at one point, we messed up the monitors, and there were some church bells at the end of a song. They got a bit loud on stage.
Wow.
It was hilarious after the gig, because we were backstage and Sting walked past, me and the monitor guy, and he walked past us and he just said, "Hey, Quasimodo." Great.
For whom the bell tolls.
Exactly.
Hey, so I was talking to John earlier, and the NAMM show evolves. Already very podcast friendly, but
Yeah.
wow, even more so now. There's people everywhere doing podcasts. There's areas to record. So that's a big difference this year. But what have you seen over the last few years? I mean, obviously technology, I would say it's almost 1-to-1 booth for technology and traditional type things, but
Yeah.
if not more even, you know?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a lot of people reinventing themselves and sort of it is a business, you know.
Yeah.
All these guys are in it for making money. Well, most of these guys are in it for making money. Most of them are owned by big corporations, so they've got to, you know, reach a target and stuff like that. So.
Hey, this is Peteaturner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here, and if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
It is a business, you know. All these guys are in it for making money. Well, most of these guys are in it for making money. Most of them are owned by big corporations, so they've got to, you know, reach a target and stuff like that. So, you know, in a way it can be annoying because, you know, you're working with a piece of technology that works absolutely fine, but, you know, a month later there's an update and that update doesn't work with the particular operating system that you have, and it's like, you know, are these bankers or are they passionate audio people?
Yeah.
Bankers, probably. So that's annoying, but, you know,
That was
it's
the theme
interesting.
of a talk we heard earlier.
Right. But, you know, there's a lot of cool, new, old school gear out there, you know, lots of Valve stuff, lots of new microphones, and so there's a lot of stuff to try.
Yeah. A lot
Lots
of
of
tubes.
tubes, man.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
are all, you know, people always come back to tubes, but there seems to be a resurgence right now. People
It's the one
expect-
place where you can actually still buy a tube for something electric, you know, like you're not going to fly an airplane with a tube in it.
Yeah.
You know, like
No.
that's never going to happen.
Not
but
anymore.
here, not a problem.
Yeah.
And make them look like they're from the 50s. It's fine.
It's better.
Right next to the guy who's got an AI robot that will write your beats for you, you know, like you guys are side by side.
Exactly.
Where do you see music headed? I mean, look, we kind of bashed a little bit on the guy in his kitchen creating something, but that guy's also getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year when Nine Inch Nails gets in, right? So there's plenty of room for
That guy's also Billie
Yeah, but
Eilish.
he doesn't count. I mean, Jesus Christ, he knows how to do fucking analog. Sorry.
for sure. But I mean, you know, early on, a lot of it is electronic, and yes, of course, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, here is someone who has that path.
But
created something
I
wonderful.
think that's kind of where I was steering earlier on, is that, you know, if you take you know, Trent as an example, you know, he pushes that technology to its absolute fucking limit.
Right.
You know, I mean, he'll destroy a piece of equipment to make a sound, you know, and it'll be amazing. And that's I kind of, maybe that's what I'm sort of, that's why I'm hoping where it's going with all the EDM guys and stuff like that, is that they come to shows like this and they see a piece with a glowing tube in it and they go, oh, what does that do? I mean, I was talking to a guy on my taxi ride from the airport here. He was like, oh, I'm in EDM. I just bought my first tape machine. I went, really? Okay. What is it? He showed me a picture. It's an old TAC, quarter inch. And he was like, well, I bought it, but you know, what would I use it for?
Right.
So, you know, obviously he saw something or he read something that tape is good.
Yeah.
Went
He'll get
for
there.
it. And you know, a lot of kids see tape and all the plugins that they get. They see things spinning around, and in a way, I think that is a good thing because it makes them think, what is this shit? You know.
Yeah.
And if it makes them go out and buy a tape machine for a couple of $100 and stick all their soft synths through it and make it sound great,
Right.
I think that's a great way to go. You know, just stick stuff through guitar pedals. Stick it through shit that it's not supposed to go through and make it sound
see what
cool.
happens.
You know,
My dad
that's
had
what
a
makes
TAC
it cool.
quarter-inch machine, and he held on to that thing for until quite recently, and he may just have moved it from its active place in his stereo equipment pile to, you know, in the garage. Actually, I'm hoping that's what he did, was just move it to the garage. I hope he didn't get rid of it. But a quarter-inch tape machine, where do you buy tape for that anymore? Who's manufacturing tape for that anymore?
ADR over here. There's good.
Does Kodak not make that at all anymore?
No. All those guys are gone.
You would think they just have like
even Ampex.
make a couple of years.
Yeah, Ampex went. Ampex was bought by Quantizing, and then that went. BASF went. But
3M.
3M went. There's a company in Europe, and they were called RMG, and I can't remember what they're called now. But you
somebody
can
is
still
producing.
get tape. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
wow.
Sure thing.
So it used to be that when that TAC machine, TAC got bought by Tascam.
Yep.
That sort of settled things, that you could get things more reliably because they were acquired. And then, we're in the Bay. I shouldn't say we. I'm in the Bay Area, and in the South Bay, right off of 101, was where Ampex was.
That's right.
So anything that you needed tape for, you could always just go to Ampex, and they had it was a landmark of a sign that just sat right on the 101. When you were coming out of the San Francisco airport, you'd pass it all the time.
Wonderful.
It was a bygone era.
Yeah.
So now the question is that manufacturer in Europe that's making the 1/4-inch tape.
Yep. And 2-inch and 1-inch and 1/2-inch.
Does it smell like whale fat?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. All right. Good. That's good. And listeners, if you're hearing that and going, what in the hell are they talking about? Go back to the first Wes Maebe episode of the Break It Down show.
When we all fell in love.
That's right. That's right.
So what's coming up for you, man? What's on the horizon?
Drinks.
Still no drinks.
No
yeah,
drinks.
what the fuck? I thought this was the land of the free. I'm going to, after this show, I've got a software presentation for Whole Grain 4 o'clock at the Hilton. And then tomorrow I've got another presentation where I'm going to be talking about kind of what we've been talking about today, about getting the best sound out of your home setup. So that'll be, again, in the Hilton under the NAMM Tech Track stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That stuff is so good, man. There's such a variety of content in NAMM.
Absolutely.
They really make it so that no matter what area of the industry you specialize in, there's something here for you.
Well, and it's important to hear from people who are in the field and doing it, because, yes, there's a lot of schools and there's a lot of colleges and stuff, and some of them are amazing, but I was in education in the UK, and it rapidly became a money-making exercise where they didn't care about quality. They just cared about quantity. And they're shifting out hundreds and thousands of kids into an industry that does not have hundreds and thousands of places to
jobs.
fill. Yeah. So...
Well, the cream's going to have to rise to the top.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people are going to have to settle for a crappy job after they spent a whole lot of money on an education that they didn't maximize. And that sounds terrible.
True that. You need to be passionate about it. And if you're not, you
get left behind.
Well, you're probably in the wrong path. You might want to find something else. And even within audio, is like, you don't have to become a famous producer, or you don't have to become a famous engineer. It could be that your passion lies in film, in score recording, or post-production, or Foley, or location recording, or podcasting, stuff like that.
All great fields of study.
All those fields you need to check out. I think it's a mistake to just go in there and go, I'm gonna end up sitting
be a record
behind
producer,
huge big desk, and I'm gonna be famous. You're not gonna be famous. We are service people. We work for the famous. We're not famous.
Yeah,
a couple of them are, but
Yeah.
In essence, our job is to facilitate the genius music people. That's our job.
Do you also have to trade the enjoyment of doing your job? I mean, not only can you play instruments, you also play the board like an instrument, but that doesn't mean you get to make $500,000 a year either. I mean, you make you make a regular person's amount of money, but you get to do something that you love and are passionate about.
There is that.
The experiences. So that value.
The experiences.
Right. Yeah. Like playing Sting's flute, or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But if you work and you're, the assistant sales manager for some other place, you don't get that opportunity.
That's true.
Maybe you have more job stability and
that's true. You have more stability. You probably have, whatever healthcare and all that stuff.
Right.
And if I don't work, I'm not earning.
Right.
So
it's also
gives you flexibility, but
that
flexibility comes at a cost.
It does. Yeah. Absolutely.
The other thing, though, is that you're talking about the direct benefit experiences that come with being in the music business. But aside from that, in defense of the industry, Wes Maebe is interesting for a reason. you know, and it's not just because you had these direct experiences, like you got to play Sting's lute and you got to, you know, it's because you went on the road.
Yeah.
And you have the life experience of having been on the road, and you have a point of view that's informed by a lifestyle that can only happen in music. Certainly doesn't happen if you're a district manager for a bank.
No. I mean, it's kind of a gypsy lifestyle, I suppose. But I had that as a kid growing up anyway, because my parents were stand builders for exhibitions. So,
Yeah.
you know, I traveled all the time as a child.
Right.
So touring is fun to me, you know. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who go, oh, fucking tour again, bus. And yeah, bring it on. I'm having the top bunk on the left, and bring on the sway of the bus, man. It's
Yeah, man.
awesome.
And nowadays there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, well,
So you can
know,
entertain yourself in ways that you couldn't before, and you can get work done in ways
there's not
that
a
you
lot of
couldn't
room in a
before.
bunk, John.
For what I'm doing,
sorry,
there
you
is.
weren't thinking about that.
What I'm doing, there is plenty of room. We solve the world's problems whenever we sit down with you, Wes. I feel like when we, call upon ourselves to dig deep, because we're sitting across the table from the Wesonator.
We dig deep.
Yeah, it's time to solve the world's problems. I just got a text from Denny Tedesco, and he asked me what the line was when you want to have civil discourse with someone and see if it's really going to be civil. And what I said was, I might have it wrong, and you might change my mind.
Yeah. If you put it on yourself,
Yeah.
like, I'm prepared to be a hypocrite, but this is what I think.
Call me an asshole, but.
Yeah. And then when you want to bring the asshole thing in, you say something like with President Trump's a great example. Like, if it's impossible for him to do one thing right, who's the asshole? You know, and you got to well, shit, you're right. Like, it has to be possible for him to do something right.
Right.
I'm biting my tongue so hard.
Yeah. Oh, no, you don't have to be right.
No, he does a lot wrong. That's where I am with him. He does a lot
wrong.
wrong. The thing is, he's running a country, and there are parts of that job that are invisible to me.
Yeah.
And I hope he gets a bunch of that stuff right. I'm positive that he gets some of it wrong. I'm positive that the guy I liked who came before him got a lot of it wrong too.
Yeah.
Now, this is a
I just like that guy better.
This is a genuine question from an outsider. You know, I don't live here. All of us around this table know that I'd like to be here
Yeah.
a lot more, but it's a genuine question.
We like it when you show up.
Is he running the country, or is it somebody else?
I think he's making the decisions.
Really?
He doesn't fear decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But I will say this though, the way our system works,
well, it's wrong.
and the folks, yeah,
It's the best democracy.
you know what? We don't
money
have a
can
queen on
buy.
our wall.
It's the best democracy money can buy.
That's what it is.
Take
Yeah.
this mic and flex it out a little bit. Is this going to be too mad at you?
Yeah.
So in our country, the businesses have a lot of control, because when the businesses
Yeah.
do well, the country does well, and so that takes a lot of your cone of decisions out. Because a lot of that stuff is sort of pre-planned out for you. And then because of how our Congress works, you know, and in this case doesn't work, you know, that's how you also limit power. And so we actually had a show
Sure.
about this with David Price. We
Yeah.
talked about
Sure.
you can have a guy in office. You guys must have us with prime ministers who are a problem. You're not going to be able to do
Same
anything.
thing. I mean, we've got absolute fucking clown in charge right
Yeah,
now.
right, yeah.
I mean, and my thing is like it really can be that hard and that expensive to fucking get those guys shot.
Seriously.
Because they're fucking up
on.
the country.
Yeah.
You know, Boris is fucking up the country. I don't feel welcome in the country I call my home,
Right. That's crazy.
which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, surely I could find some crazy guy with a terminal illness, and I'll just
Yeah.
bug him a couple of grand, and he can do the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get back to business.
Well, you're
gonna
not
make
the
it
only
happen.
one.
Oh, man.
Prince Harry's like, I don't need to be. I don't need to be His Highness anymore.
And you know what? Good on him.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I totally
you know,
agree.
you two guys, you've been given shit for so long.
Yeah.
Go to Canada.
Yeah.
Go to Canada.
Got your,
Yeah.
yeah. You know,
Yeah.
whatever.
I'd
Got
take
your
her to
grandmother
Canada.
on the money anyway. So
Yeah. Well, and look, I mean, his mom, it killed her ultimately, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that and a drunk guy driving around. But,
yeah.
you know, I can understand completely why he's like, I don't need a title. I don't need anything from you guys.
Right.
You
I
know?
got this fine wife. I'm going to take her to Canada where it's cold.
Absolutely. Good
We're
on
going to
him.
roll around the hay
I mean,
until it gets warm again.
I feel like him, and I've been kidding around like that. It's like, I want to move to Canada now. People are friendly.
Canada seems nice. What were you going to say, Lynn?
Good to snowboard.
Well, no, my long-term belief is we're ran by banks, multinational corporations.
Absolutely.
Whoever's in there matters a lot less than people think. In our military,
that's my feeling.
And our military now is an instrument. No disrespect to veterans, I'm one, or those currently serving, but our military is an instrument to keep the world safe for commerce.
Sure.
Not for other reasons.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are we in certain places we are, and we're not in Africa doing what we should be doing?
Right.
If we're so morally superior.
And we thought we were putting things right over pizza.
No kidding.
Lynn.
Man, came in heavy.
Yeah. This show is sponsored by Citibank.
Yeah, John knows I get off on politics. I get a little too.
I am scared of politics, man.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm in the UK, I can't watch the news. It just makes me angry. So I just hole up in the studio and make music.
Well, and this is the ultimate thing is like whatever you do, if you make your little world better, even if your little world is you, then that's really what matters because what those fuckers do, and I wouldn't do any better if I was president. I'd be like, that motherfucker up there is so stupid. Like all of a sudden you're dumb, you're all these things. Not one of our recent presidents didn't become a multi-hundred millionaire. Like they all have been enriched from the job.
Sure.
And we act like that's not that big of a deal, but come on, So I absolutely would do the same things, but work local,
Yeah.
Like if you don't like homelessness, go to the closest restaurant near that place and say, there's $150 on account for any homeless person that wants to eat.
Absolutely.
And then go tell those guys, anytime you guys want to eat, there's money over there.
Yeah.
And if you run out, call me. We'll go get more. You could feed everybody.
Yeah.
But we'd rather complain about Boris or Donald or
absolutely.
whoever it's going to be.
Absolutely.
And it's why we would want to have Pete in charge. But it's specifically why Pete will never be in charge.
Yeah.
Because those folks need to eat. Pete's going to feed them.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
But somebody's going to stand up and say, that goddamn commie Pete.
Yeah. Least communist person ever.
He's feeding those people. They're lazy. They don't need feeding.
Yeah.
They need hard times. I don't know really what accent that is, but it would sound something like that.
Like you're from Amarillo, but adjacent.
Amarillo adjacent.
Yeah.
I think he said my name is Jason and I'm from Amarillo. No disrespect for the listener in Amarillo. We probably have a listener in Amarillo.
I sure hope so.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the show? I mean, you don't listen all the time, but you are on it a lot and you do listen.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it touches on cool topics and it goes off on some really funky tangents.
Yeah.
Which is always fun.
That's what it's for.
And I love the album fights.
Yeah.
We need to do more album fights.
Yeah, for sure.
I know it's hard and it's difficult to organize and this stuff, but Lynn and I are thinking about shit.
Yeah.
I'd like you doing album fights.
Who was the guy we met? The Hilton
DJ
the other
Severe.
night. Yes, yeah. He suddenly got.
He's also very thoughtful.
He suddenly got intrigued about some idea.
He's got a musical opinion that's quite informed.
Yeah. And he doesn't fear music in any way.
No.
These folks when they're like, I was watching a lot of these, so-and-so's reaction to Rush, and they had never even heard of Rush. It's like,
right.
How can you call yourself any kind of an audiophile and not know like the root bands that have done all these things?
True.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to not know, like, I don't know, something like King's X.
Sure.
Perfect example.
Right.
Yeah,
It's one thing not to know King's X.
Yeah,
Rush?
but
Rush.
How do you not know Rush?
No, but that's the power. That's the power of the album fights.
Yeah.
And I don't think you guys understand how powerful they are because they are such an educational instrument.
Boy.
For younger people and also for older people. I mean, the stuff I had never listened to. That was in an album fight.
Educational instrument for
had,
me.
Yeah, and I had to go and listen to that shit. And I was like, holy shit. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Now I've learned something new.
Yeah.
But a lot of the younger kids, no, of course they wouldn't know Rush.
Yeah.
Why would they know Rush?
Well,
I mean,
some of them do.
maybe because Dad listened to it, but
Yeah.
that's
ultimately what it
It's
is.
not on their radar. And,
We're
and,
at the point where Dad listened to it. That's
and
the
the
only way.
root of that is the lack of musical education.
Well, I think there's two things: the lack of musical education, and the fact that music has become an individual experience. I mean, I know a lot about Steely Dan and Dan Fogelberg
Because of buddies.
Because my dad
And family.
anytime I drive around with my parents, hey, that car was his, and that radio in that car was his too, and we were listening to whatever he said.
Yeah.
And what he said, thank God, was often Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Or, and
But also, you used to have to go to a record store
Yeah.
and look for things, and there was artwork and there were credits.
Right.
I mean, today, the lack of credits is criminal.
It is criminal. And the lack of artwork is criminal.
And the lack of artwork, because those guys were stunning.
Because I remember the first
know.
time I ran across No Effects,
Right.
Heavy Petting Zoo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never would have seeked out that album, but you see that and you go,
You see it and you
I
go,
must know.
I want to hear it.
I must know. Yeah.
And you can go wrong or you can go right. But also the dude
But
in
you
the record
go.
store.
You can go wrong
Yeah.
and you can go right, but you must go.
You must go. But the dude in the record store will be like, I think you're going to dig this.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen anymore.
And that's how people find out about King's X.
Yeah. And there are no gatekeepers right now. I mean, all that shit's out there.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's
it's
all
like-
out
But
there.
nobody's sort of aggregating it and giving you. I mean, yes, there is sort of people who bought
Right.
this, listen to this. But that's a bit
And
generic.
I don't want a robot telling me what I should listen
No.
to. I want the guy
No,
that
no,
works
no.
the tower to go,
Right.
what do you like?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me push you and try this.
Exactly.
'Cause that robot has never tried to
The
meet
robot
a
doesn't know who
chick.
King's X
He
is, or
doesn't-
King Crimson, or
Right.
Queen's Reich.
Right.
Right.
Can't
right.
do anything.
Yeah.
Or Killing Joke.
Robots don't know about bad brains.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. The record store demise, the album
know.
art, and not only the credits, but the people that get work on albums has gone down.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
you really can just play keyboard and then replicate a lot of different things instead of having that guy, who is the right guy for that album. I mean, we were talking with Denny yesterday, and he had Carol Kay on his movie,
Right.
The Wrecking Crew.
Right.
How many bass lines did she change by just being a god of the bass?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You wouldn't
sure,
have to
sure.
hire her anymore, necessarily,
Yeah, but you wouldn't get good vibrations either.
Yeah. Or you would have the song, bass line wouldn't be as good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Angry old man talking about how it ought to be.
Uh-huh. Back in my day. Anyway.
We had a piccolo or a recorder. That's what you had.
Oh God, I remember that recorder. Jesus.
Was that part of your musical education?
It was in school, yeah, before they got rid of it. Yeah.
Oh, thank God they got rid of it at some point.
No.
Oh, never mind.
No.
You mean before they got rid of music education?
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that we want to enhance science and, engineering, mathematics. But
Yeah.
the effect of the music education on making sense of the world and spatial awareness and the like, that cannot be understated.
No.
Or is it
no.
cannot be overstated? Which
And
one of those? It's important, is what I
It's
meant to say.
Extremely important. And you can't, you can't get it from, or you can't just get it from YouTube or Spotify.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you need guidance. You need a nudge in a certain direction, because otherwise you just stay in your little.
And you need criticism.
You need constructive criticism.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need somebody to.
And you need to venture out of your bubble.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the album fights, because
love it,
you
yeah.
push me out of my bubble, because I'll be going, oh, Pink Floyd, rah, 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 da, da, da,
Yeah.
da. This isn't real music. What the fuck? And then suddenly I have to listen to something. It's like, oh wow. Never
Shit,
realized
look at what
that.
they've done.
That's great.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about Rick Beato does a great job. I love all his stuff, but his lists of these are the best, whatever, or these are important things, and you really can find a lot of these topics where you can look at for example, and I'll use you two as an example. The Edge isn't a good guitarist because he doesn't play a zillion fucking notes, But then you go listen to like what he does.
Well, he doesn't. He plays one note, and the TC 2290 repeats it 100 times.
Right. But he does play the guitar in a way that no one else has ever done it. You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then when he needs to, he plays all the notes in the world.
Yeah.
But if you're operating by those rules, then B.B. King must not be all that great
That's
either.
exactly right.
Well, BB couldn't sing and play at the same time.
Yeah.
But boy, could he get the hairs in the back of your neck stand up.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying when we were walking out, and I shouted to that
And you
guitar
told somebody
whittler,
to fuck off.
fuck off, play one good note.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's what BB was the master of.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
BB King and Jeff Beck. I mean, Jeff Beck can shred like a motherfucker, but
Right.
he can play one note, and you could just burst out in tears.
Well, when I was thinking about this very topic about like what proves that the Edge is a great guitarist, like Bullet to Blue Sky. You know, when the order from Bono is bring the war through your guitar, and then he does, you know, that's genius level stuff. But then when Love Comes to Town with BB when they play, here's what the Edge does. Boom.
And get the hell out of the way.
Yeah, that's it.
It's just him, you know. It's
And he
his
lets
style.
BB have the stage and do what BB does, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's going to come down to 100 years from now, there's going to be a whole school of study about what made that guy tick.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be the analysis of people playing, but somebody's going to dig up the Edge and look at that work, and people are going to wonder what made him tick. And they can say, well, you know, here are these parts and here are these parts, and look how he blended this. But ultimately, that's the uniqueness of him, is that you are left to wonder, now, what on earth led to those choices?
Yeah.
You know, the million notes a minute. Well, you know what led to that choice. Anyway.
Yeah, but and when you
musical
look at
masturbation.
That, like, how do you when you differentiate and you look at like I saw like Eddie Van Halen doing some solo stuff. As I'm looking around all this stuff, and you can hear the Bach in it. You know, like he's purposely bringing Bach in and exposing people to it.
Yeah.
But then I went and I listened to Steve Vai, you know, and I went to all those guys just to kind of get a sense for what it was. And they're all brilliant in their own regard. But yeah, like if you look at the direction that the Edge goes, there's nobody in front of him. Like Andy Summers, there's nobody in front of me artistically.
Yeah.
There's nobody out here. This is my space. I've created this. And that's really when it really becomes special, is someone who can, and by design, U2's like, you will not do triumphant solos. You have to find another way to do it. So they tied an arm behind his back
another
and
way.
Still came out, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we have to be able to find with these album fights, is these moments where you're like, oh my God, I just realized that this
is
person,
transcendent because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we'll get back to those then.
More album fights.
Yeah. Our guest has been Wes Maebe, the Wesonator.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Pleasure.